Hi, this is Dan Marks. Thanks for tuning in to News Sausage. I'm here today with my co-host, Sunny Riverside. Say hi, Sunny.
Hi, I'm Sunny Riverside. Coming to you from the frozen wasteland of somewhere in Iowa. Tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a retired attorney, also a former vegetable farmer, beekeeper, environmentalist, democratic activist, political activist of all kinds of events and causes. And now I am settling into my middle age and ready to take on the world and try and share a little insight and information with everyone.
I'm Dan Marks. I grew up here in Iowa as well, here in the heartland. Lived in Colorado, Hawaii for about 14 years. Have a little bit different perspective than a lot of my other native neighbors here in the state. Hopefully I can share some of that unique perspective with everybody. Also, I've had some success dealing with Congress the last 4 years, been mentioned in the Congressional Record and Congressional Research Service reports. So we'll get into that on another day, but needless to say, I've been very passionate about political activism with the Occupy movement years ago. Still trying to stay active because I'm here back in my home state, Sonny, and I have to tell you, I'm looking around and it's a little disturbing looking at the state that I left being a fairly progressive state. You know, we've got a pretty good track history of progressivism. It's almost unfamiliar when you see people like Steve King and, you know, really what Chuck Grassley's become and Kim Reynolds and Joni Ernst and holy moly.
Yeah. I share that with you, Dan. It's been frustrating to watch it develop and descend into the pit we are over the last few years, and it's been a pretty rapid descent.
Yes. I haven't been gone that long. To me, it seemed like a blink of an eye. It sure wasn't. When I got back here, I could tell quite a lot of time had passed. You know, that is kind of one of the reasons I wanted to do this program, because it's just not enough to post things on Twitter and Facebook and complain about the world without actually taking some kind of action, being a little bit more proactive about these things. And, you know, that's what I've always tried to do. Now I think we're kind of taking our passions to these airwaves, and hopefully we'll have you folks tune in every week. Got a lot of good things coming up. Hopefully we'll be interviewing some other activists. They'll be telling you what they've been doing, what you need to know, and how you can get involved. So we look forward to doing that and talking about some of those news stories that maybe don't get a lot of the airplay out there.
Yeah, that's right, Dan. I was exactly thinking what you were thinking. It's been difficult watching this state descend, particularly after the unknown reason of reelecting Terry Branstad. It was really a disgrace. A few years ago, Iowa was a leader. We had renewable energy going on. We were the first in the nation to allow gay marriage. We were on the verge of legalizing marijuana, and then suddenly everything stopped. We've been plunged into a dark age, and I don't think that we are alone in this. And I think the reason for this podcast is to connect with other people in other parts of the country and other parts of the world who are experiencing this same sort of phenomena. That's my hope.
Now, hold the phone there, Sonny. I was in Hawaii for 14 years, and somehow this news escaped me. They were considering legalizing marijuana in the state of Iowa. Was that prior to the state of Colorado?
Oh, yeah, long before.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, there have been bills before the Iowa Senate. The Iowa Pharmacy Board recommended, I think it was 2007, Iowa Pharmacy Board recommended that cannabis should be legalized for medicinal purposes.
I did not know that.
To the Iowa legislature, yes.
See, now I've learned something new in our first program, so we're off to a fantastic start. But now we're going to get to our program. First story.
News Sausage.
For our first story today, we want to talk about, I'm sure you've heard about it in the news already, but we want to give you our take. We saw the Republican Party scramble in a hurried fashion. They got together a tax reform bill. Something like this hasn't been seen in nearly 20 years.
With no Democratic input.
No, absolutely no. Yeah, no bipartisan action there. They're putting out this tax reform bill as a big tax break to all these middle class Americans. In truth, it's a tax break for the top 10% of the top 1%. Billionaires are getting nearly $2 trillion in tax breaks from this thing, corporations included. You and I are, we're not going to get that kind of tax treatment. In fact, the Congressional Budget Office has told folks that we're going to expect taxes to go up, and in 8 years we will see a tax increase because of this. This is actually a tax increase for most of America. What do we get for this?
Well, it's a classic bait and switch. The Republicans bait us with the notion, or bait people who aren't paying attention with the notion that there will be a tax decrease for the middle class, that the middle class will pay fewer taxes and not suffer any consequences as a result of it, which are temporary reductions, while they make the corporate higher echelons tax reductions substantially more and permanent. I believe that this is perhaps the most unpopular thing that this Congress has done in a very long time, and they are doing it with absolutely zero regard for public opinion, public input, and what the public needs and wants.
Exactly. Plus, Trump said that this is basically killing Obamacare at the same time by destroying the mandate, repealing that. 11 million people just signed up for this program last month. What are they supposed to do? This isn't making America great again. These are austerity measures. They're actually raising taxes on poor people, reducing taxes on rich people, and somehow this is supposed to stimulate the economy. It's like half the country out there is just in an alternate reality. There's a different set of facts that, they're not real. They're not facts.
Right.
They're made up.
Right, to say the least.
I don't know. Yeah, if you've heard any comments from people about all the benefits we're going to reap from all of this. We're going to get a big tax break for ourselves. I just spoke with a coworker of mine today who actually did the math, took a look at it. He was expecting from all the rhetoric that he was supposed to get about $700 extra from credit from the government. That was only if he did standard deduction. Well, he's got student loans, he's got a mortgage he's paying, so he takes those deductions. His net gain is actually $34. And in exchange for that, they're only going to rob our Social Security, kick people off of Medicare, make sure it's not there for him when he gets to that age. Just gut the social programs. Veterans also are getting hurt with this program.
It doesn't take a whole lot of insight to do the math on this. So what the tax bill is doing is reducing revenues. When revenues are reduced, that means that something has to give. You can't continue to spend the same amount of money and have less money coming in. It's simple arithmetic. So we're increasing military spending while we are reducing revenues. What's going to give? Obviously, what is going to give is not going to be the deduction for corporate jets.
Right. Yeah, can you believe that? They'll kick people, like children, off of the care and housing assistance that they need. But if you have a private jet, then you definitely deserve a break. Incidentally, just a little factoid I'm going to throw out there. Just happened to get curious about this the other day, and they were talking about homelessness on TV, and I wondered how many homeless people there were in the United States. How big is this problem? I've heard it's terrible. So I looked it up on Google and found it was about 500,000 people. That's 500,000 people. That's horrible. And at the same time, there's over 300 million people in this country. That's 1/6 of 1% of our country is homeless. And what would it take? How much money would it take to end homelessness in this country? we see churches gather all of this money over the years, and really that's all it takes is 500,000 people finding homes for that many people. It
so
just seems so doable.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Particularly as long as we're talking about who's benefiting from this tax bill, the number you're using for a total of the homeless people sounds to me like it is approximately the same number of people as will benefit greatly from the tax program. It's going to benefit the top 0.1%, and you're saying the homeless population is 1/6 of 1%. It's interesting that irony just struck me. I hadn't considered that before.
Absolutely, we are handing over $2 trillion to that top 1%. $2 trillion would not only wipe out homelessness in the United States. I've seen figures where I believe it was $2 billion would feed the entire world, to end hunger in the entire world. And yet we're going to give $2 trillion to all these rich guys. It's just, it's just not what I would call virtue by any means. I don't understand why they're so happy about this, proud about this. It's no virtue to say to your neighbor, just go to hell.
They're happy and they are happy and proud of it because they believe that their constituents are stupid. They believe their constituents are just sucking up everything they say. They believe their constituents are not critical thinkers and that they are incapable of seeing through their lies. And I have a feeling 2018 is going to reflect something quite different. I'm hoping 2018 is going to be a real eye-opener.
Well, speaking of 2018, this kind of brings it around locally here, too, because none other than our own acting governor, what's her name, Kim Reynolds.
Yeah, Kim Jong Reynolds. Yeah,
Kim Jong Reynolds has touted what a great job they've done there in Congress with this tax plan and what a benefit this is going to be to Iowans. There's not that many people in that top percentile in Iowa, so I don't know who she's talking about there, but both of them are going to be happy as clams.
That's another thing that part of that tax bill is being sold as being a relief of a horrible burden for farmers.
Right.
There's a shrinking number of farmers in Iowa as time and the economy have progressed. The number of farmers has reduced. Mechanization, as in all industries, has resulted in there being a need for fewer farmers because one farmer can now practice husbandry, if you will, on an area of land that was unimaginable in my grandparents' time. That being said, the value of the farm ground has increased exponentially in the last 10 years. When I first started practicing law in a small rural community, there was a farm that sold for nearly $3,000 per acre, and everyone's jaws dropped. It was the talk of the whole county. No one could believe that farm ground could sell for that much, because a few years prior to that, that same ground or ground similar to it was selling for $1,500 an acre. Now that same ground is selling for $12,000 an acre. So there's a lot of wealth in those farmers, but farmers are not dumb, and they are whizzes at estate planning, and anyone who has that degree of wealth is going to have a succession plan so that there will not be an estate tax unless they are completely lazy. They have a trust, they have a corporation. They make gifts of money and or land and or equipment to their children on an annual basis, and it's all planned out on a 10-year, 20-year plan, such that by the time old man farmer dies, he doesn't have anything anymore. There is no estate tax going to happen. And to tout this whole repeal of estate tax or reduction of a state tax, it's only a benefit to very rich people who are freaking lazy.
I like how you put that. That's easy to understand. I like that. But, incidentally, Kim Reynolds, while we're talking about her, taking a little tangent here, there's been some ruckus lately because she's decided that she's going to keep Steve King on as her campaign chairman after some series of tweets about how diversity is not our strength in America. And white people are strong. Who is he arguing with? First of all, I don't understand. He's arguing with the darkness for some reason to just thrust this topic onto the conversations and dinner tables of average Americans. Where does this stuff come from in this millennium?
I have no idea. As I was taught growing up, America was the great melting pot of cultures and races, and that's our strength. Think about it. Think about it in terms of other species. If you have a purebred dog, its lifespan is significantly less, and it's more likely to have more health problems than if you have a mutt. A mutt is generally smarter, less prone to health problems, is going to have a longer lifespan. It's the same with humans. Diversity is the key to survival. King's comment a few months ago, we can't maintain our culture with other people's kids, something to that effect.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It was when he started catching hell about that he temporarily removed the Confederate flag from his desk in Washington. And how a congressman from Iowa had a doggone Confederate flag in the first place. Iowa was on the side of the North. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's got to be somebody in Alabama going, oh, my gosh, we love Steve King. How did we get Steve King in Iowa? This is amazing. Well, send him a couple of bucks.
and acting Governor Reynolds, who is not willing to unhitch her wagon from this toxic congressman, who, by the way, is the least effective member of Congress. He has never introduced a bill that has passed, nor has he ever introduced any successful writers to any bills. He's occupying a chair and doing nothing else.
Acting Governor Kim Jong Reynolds, a.k.a. Governor What's-Her-Face, she has demonstrated an amazing degree of tolerance for intolerance. It's really something. Oh, you hear that noise, Sonny?
Ow! Yes, I did.
You know what that means? It's time for...
The eggs are done?
It's time for Stupid Under the Radar News. It's our first show. We can we're going to push them both into the same segment here. Stupid Under the Radar News. This week, believe it or not, Sonny, we just lost our Commerce Secretary, Wilbur Ross. He went on vacation in New England, and the Secret Service completely lost track of him. He was missing for several hours. It got to the point where people were actually getting visited by Secret Service in the area. They were passing out their card, and if they see the secretary, they were asked to call so that they could come and pick him up.
Was he hiking the Appalachian Trail?
He's if you've ever seen him, he doesn't look like he's an avid hiker by any means. It looks like it would probably be a little too much for him.
What the heck was he doing?
Also, recently, it's been a little bit more above the radar since it was on election night. Doug Jones, you and I were talking about it because I had noticed a tweet by NBC News when Trump's lawyer said that the Trump team's no longer going to be cooperating with the special investigation by Mueller, which a lot of people reacted by going, "You can't do that." Well, you and I were talking about it, and you were saying how it made you weak in the knees. What did it make you think of?
Well, it made me think of a series of actions that would follow. If Trump ceases to cooperate, that leaves two options. So Mueller has subpoena power. No one is above the law. Mueller can, if Trump does not wish to voluntarily participate, he can force Trump's participation. Trump is not immune from investigation. He has not been, he can't claim any presidential immunity because he was not acting in the general interest of the nation, or particularly since he denies he acted at all. The other thing that really made me weak in the knees about that was Trump has threatened in the past to pardon his family and his colleagues, his cohorts, his flunkies, his handlers, whoever you want to call them. He has threatened or acknowledged that he believes he has constitutional authority to pardon anyone he wishes, including himself. And he has indicated before that he also believes that he has authority to just outright fire the special prosecutor or to pull strings to defund the federal prosecutor, or to direct some subordinate to fire the special prosecutor on pain of their own head on a pike.
Right.
What all of that adds up to is very dangerous situation where he becomes a totalitarian leader. He's issuing command by fiat. Anyone who disagrees with him, anyone who questions him, anyone who suspects he has done anything wrong becomes an enemy of the state, and then suddenly he is Putin.
Right.
That
He's
is
talking about you,
really,
Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He is. That is a good example, too, just because he did change a protest against police brutality in the black community to it's a protest against the flag and our military. And are you kidding me? He did. He turned him into an enemy of the state, as you said, just like that.
Right. And it harkens back to, this sort of thing. We have been edging in this direction for a long time. George Bush, George II, recall how many times he raised the notion that they hate our freedom. But why do you hate our freedom? Why do you hate our freedom? No one hates our freedom. People in other countries hate things that Americans do, hate things that our American government does. But Colin Kaepernick is not protesting freedom, not protesting mom and apple pie, not even protesting the flag, has nothing to do with the military. He's protesting things, like what happened in St. Louis, the police brutality of black people. Black people are people. That's what a lot of these people seem not to understand. They're not like, oh, it's okay. He's black. He can handle it. You can beat him. It's happened to him before, so he won't mind. Also,
in stupid, under the radar news, we also have the Sandy Hook anniversary. Trump decided to invite the NRA president to the White House for a photo op for that.
Yeah, it wasn't
pretty tasteless.
No comment.
Next, we have France. France today, or was it yesterday? This week, France decided that they were going to ban all fracking and petroleum oil production in France. It just struck me, when I saw this headline. A lot of people haven't seen this yet. I'm sure it's probably not going to get a lot of play in the news because of the sponsors of these programs. A lot of them are petroleum companies. It just kind of struck me that we're so far behind all these other countries, and Trump's pulled us out of all these negotiations for green power, while these other countries are moving quickly towards a new green economy, really. The tax plan, to reiterate, is not going to be a big boon on our economy. It just isn't. You're adding a little smidgen of money into the economy. The green economy is going to be the next boon, and it's not going to wait around for us to get our act together. We're going to have to be a lot more proactive. We're going to have to stop subsidizing the petroleum industry. If we're going to subsidize anything, I would think that we would have an energy policy that would support green power, make this country a lot more competitive. Sonny, I know you have a lot to say about the environment.
Yeah, what the hell would be the benefit in supporting renewable energy? Because if we were not fighting over oil in the Middle East, those billions and now trillions of dollars that have been spent to kill people with brown skin in desert countries would have nowhere to go. We would not wind up in the pockets of Halliburton. You're spot on there, and I think it troubles me that where Trump campaigned on this notion of reviving clean coal, whatever the hell that is.
It's a backwards thing. It's like no child left behind. Let's shut down some schools.
Right.
They say the opposite.
And at the same time, they are ending programs that had offered, some assistance for startups in renewable energy, in solar and wind. They are ending tax credits for people who, remember, President Obama had introduced that tax credit for people who bought electric cars or hybrid cars.
Right.
Those things are going away, and it just doesn't make sense. It's completely backwards, and it's completely wrong. And I applaud France for their, their gesture. It really is all it is.
Right. Right.
They're going to end petroleum production within France. They're going to end petroleum extraction in France by 2040. And I did a little research on this. France annually, domestically, produces about 815,000 metric tons of petroleum annually.
Wow.
That means that they import 99 and a fraction % of what they use. So This is kind of akin to if Minnesota were to declare that they weren't going to have any oil wells there anymore. So it's,
right.
It's a lovely gesture, but it's basically a fart in a whirlwind. It's not in terms of the global impact.
Right. I think too, you look maybe not at France for some of these things, but really Germany has taken the lead in their green power. They have
Scandinavian
no
countries
dependence.
too.
Yeah, they have complete energy independence. They even got rid of their nuclear power. They've been very serious about this, and really, you'd get rid of the cost of power by having renewable power, really minimize it, and we have gotten past that threshold where green power is much more affordable than standard petroleum carbon fuels, and they realized it early on, and they got that monkey off their back, and their economy and their industry is flourishing. So for all those people who respond to the tree huggers with, hey, what are we going to do? Get rid of our cars? No, we're going to make our cars better. We're going to get newer, better cars. We're not saying shut down the economy. We're saying there's a smarter, better way to do things.
And by the way, Bubba, have you ever seen a dragster with an electric motor? Check them out on YouTube. They fucking haul ass, man.
We said you did the F word. Are we gonna? We haven't talked about this. Are we going to be doing the F word? We just did it.
I will curtail that. I apologize.
No, you've heard it here first, folks. We have now have a stated operating procedure where we are not going to use the F word unless it happens, which it could. But
they'll bleep that out. That'll be edited.
Well, hey, we are running out of time here quickly, so I want to make sure to thank everybody out there for tuning in to our first program, taking some time out of your day, listening to us babble about these kinds of issues that we care about. If you like the program, Please share it online, Facebook, Twitter, with your friends, family. Let them know about the show. Please subscribe to it. You're going to find us on Facebook, Twitter, Google, Podomatic, Shout Engine, SoundCloud, YouTube, and if everything goes right tonight, you might even see us on iTunes as well. So we should be readily available for a lot of people to tune in.
Well, good. And
all right.
This is Sunny Riverside. I'm going to say goodnight and remind you to please say hello to the third man on the two-party line.